They're trying to change the population of the United States. And they hate it when you say that because it's true, but that's exactly what they're doing. Is anyone pushing back at all? I have less political power because they're importing a brand new electorate. Why should I sit back and take that? How much longer do you think Americans will put up with this? How long before Americans start to take border enforcement into their own hands? We have absolutely the right to know. We should demand to know now. Every time they import a new voter, I become disenfranchised as a current voter. No, they're not allowed to do that. Why are we putting up with this?
10 people were killed when a gunman opened fire. This was at a supermarket in a largely black neighborhood in Buffalo.
I seen the guy go in, army style, bent over, just shooting at people, and I heard him shooting at people, and then I saw 3 people laying down.
Officials say that Peyton Gendron, a white 18-year-old man, was wearing body armor and military-style clothing when he pulled up yesterday at the Tops Friendly Market and began shooting. He picked that spot specifically for its demographics, according to officials.
The suspect was motivated by something called replacement theory, which is the totally false and racist ideology that claims there is a plot to diminish the influence of white people by replacing them with immigrants and people of color. This conspiracy theory has been increasingly echoed by many who are on the right.
Demographic change is the key to the Democratic Party's political ambitions. Our leaders have no right to encourage foreigners to move to this country in order to change election results. Abrupt change causes social chaos, always. What will the consequences of that change, of that revolution be? In your bones, you know the answer. It's terrifying. And it doesn't have to happen.
Some in the media have been quick to point fingers and even place blame on our friend and very popular Fox News host Tucker Carlson. It's outrageous. It's wrong, both factually and morally.
You cannot overstate the scale of demographic change underway right now in the United States. It's a direct assault on our democracy.
It infuriates me. People have to inject their politics into everything, and this guy had a racist manifesto. There's no question. That doesn't make it Tucker Carlson's fault. Just stop it. Just stop it.
Megyn Kelly's afraid, guys. In the above video, she's shown sort of hand-wringing, pissing, and moaning about her quote-unquote good friend, Tucker Carlson, being blamed for the recent shooting, racist shooting out there in Buffalo. The guy obviously dropped the racist manifesto. The guy basically said that he wanted to kill foreigners and immigrants, essentially people he deemed to be not American or American enough. And Megyn Kelly doesn't like the idea that we would blame terrible anti-immigrant racist events perpetuated by people who speak the exact same talking points, the exact same hate speech that her and her cohort on Fox and other conservative news outlets spew on a daily basis. And here's the thing, you can say some of this is right? There's so many outlets out there spewing some of the most terrible, vitriolic, racist rhetoric that you can find on the internet. There's a lot of outlets that are doing that, but the problem for Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson specifically is that this shooter pointed out something that is native to Tucker Carlson's show. It's this idea of replacement theory. For those of you who don't know, which I'm sure you do, but we can briefly talk about it here. Replacement theory is the idea that the Dems and liberals want to get in a bunch of immigrants from South America, Africa, whatever, so that the percentage of Americans whom are white are diminished, thereby their influence replaced by these immigrant groups, right? And the guy in Buffalo in his manifesto specifically pointed that out. And some would say Tucker Carlson has made his bones on this replacement theory nonsense.
The important thing is for people to remember, under the Trump-Pence administration, we had solved the crisis of illegal immigration at our southern border, and President Biden and his administration reinvented it. I mean, they immediately suspended construction on the border wall. and they ended that Remain in Mexico policy.
I was in a position where I desperately needed a job, and I went around to these locations that Dick said were only Hispanics, like in the restaurants, for example, in the kitchen, and I couldn't even get my foot in the door.
I've got 38 years experience in heavy demolition, and I've got turned down for 3 jobs because I don't speak Spanish.
That will lead to an invasion of illegal immigration. It will put jet fuel on a system that's already broken. If you give one person legal status, there will be a run on our border like you've never seen before. The dumbest idea in the history of the Senate, the history of the White House. It will lead to a breakdown of law and order beyond what you see today.
So today we return to breaking down ridiculous articles, this time from Fox News, titled, "Democrats Will Look to Illegal Immigrants for Votes in 2022. Yes, the great replacement theory continues because, as we all know, before the pandemic, the Trump years, they were so prosperous. Workers weren't struggling, people weren't struggling, prices weren't out of control, wages were there. Everything was so great, as we know. But now that, the Democrats they can't win on policy, ironically, of course, the Republicans can't either. But now that the Democrats can't win on policy, they're going to look to illegal immigrants to fill in the gap. So let's read a passage from here and then we'll continue. Democrats will face 2 choices going forward. Either moderate their policy agenda to appeal to their voters, or find a new pool of voters to replace the ones they no longer agree with. Coincidentally, or not, a tsunami of new potential voters is swarming across the southern border unimpeded, all of whom will owe their successful entry to the policies of Democrats. Yes, it's all a ploy. Swarm in the illegal brown immigrants. No one else counts. Immigrants from elsewhere, they don't count. Only the brown immigrants. Swarm them in and we'll win.
If he right now continues this policy, we're on pace for 2.3 million illegals. Think about how many we're not catching. And he's basically releasing 30 to 40% of them into this country. And they're not all from Guatemala and Mexico. You're getting people from Africa, from the Middle East, from Venezuela. And there's no way we know who these people are. Dick Durbin even said it. We're opening the borders for political reasons. He says that new voters, a.k.a. foreign-born voters in America, do not vote for the Republican Party. And that is the demographic trend, he said. And he's right. Foreign-born voters vote 2-to-1 Democrat. And 1 in 10 voters are foreign-born. And that trend is going to continue.
I wanted to read that, read over those little sections for you, just so you can see, not to really consider. Millions of people in this country read this and take it as the gospel truth, even though it's clearly untrue. I mean, people aren't just coming over here and just voting for the Democratic Party like, The biggest issue with the Democratic Party, as some of them pointed out, is that they don't deliver on policy issues. But undocumented immigrants, they're not citizens. They can't register to vote. They can't just show up. If they're undocumented by law, they can't be here. So if they show up to the voting polls, that could get them shipped back. But again, this is the inherent country's racism that we know that Fox News and other major right-wing outlets tap into. We know that Republican candidates tap into it. We know that's how Donald Trump got where he is. And we know that that's where the Republican Party is extremely likely to remain, because they can't escape it. So I hope you had as much fun with that as I did, because it's just ridiculous. They go by the same playbook each and every time. It never gets old, and why change it? Why change it if it ain't broken? So let's continue to mobilize.